I am here with Nicole from Truly Pampered. Would you like to say anything about yourself?
Yes, I am a stylist of 8 years. I currently am renting at Truly, but I'm also a brand ambassador for KMS, as well as most recently became an educator for the brand, and I super love it, so I'm super excited to answer your questions.
So the first question is, what made you want to choose to be a educator and ambassador?
So KMS actually approached me and asked me to become an ambassador first. Because I was selling a lot of the products and I was like going to all the classes and I was super inspired by them and everything. And then I was a brand ambassador for about 4 years. Scratch that, 3 years when I pursued becoming an educator. So I took a ton of training classes. I went to New York City, went to their KMS Academy, and I really pushed for it because it's a lot of fun to be an educator. First of all, you get to know all the new things first, which I love. And secondly, I love to teach people who like to do hair but want to learn how to do it better. And I'm very passionate about KMS, which is why I chose that brand in particular.
Okay, the next question is, do you think that there are pros and cons to being a product educator and/or ambassador?
I don't think there's as many cons, I would say, as being an educator as there is being a stylist behind the chair and an educator. There is a lot that goes into being an educator. It takes up a lot of my spare time outside of the salon, so working a full-time job and then on top of that working basically a part-time job where I'm coming up with all these lesson plans, and my newest thing I'm working on is actually an up-to class. So, and I have to do something completely different that's never done with KMS before, so that's my newest thing I'm working on. So when I'm not here, I'm constantly working. The pros, like I said before, is everything first, which I love. Like I know some sneak peek things that are coming out next year. We're introducing like a strengthening shampoo and conditioner, and I get to try it first, so that's a good pro. And secondly, I get free education from KMS all the time, and education is so key when it comes to being a good stylist.
What are the type of training that you had to do in order to be in the position you are now?
So the first thing I had to do, just to become an educator, is, well, let me start with ambassador. So to be an ambassador, they had to ask me to be an ambassador for the brand, and then I have to go to training twice a year, and it's with ambassadors from all over New York State, and we come together and we shoot out ideas and we learn about all the new stuff, and we just kind of brainstorm on what we should do for the next coming months. And then with educating, my first thing I had to do was submit a video of me cutting and styling somebody's hair, and I had to submit that to the company, and then I had to go to New York City and I had to do a live audition in front of a big name of KMS, which, if you want to talk about nerve-wracking, yeah, huge, nerve-wracking. And then I spent the next year shadowing educators in the area and doing like little mini product knowledge classes here and there. So now I'm basically almost there. I'm not like full-blown educating yet because I can't educate cuts yet, but I will be starting that in February of 2020, so I'm really excited.
Now, I know there's a lot of students that are out there. What is your advice to them coming into the industry and what products they might use?
Educate. I mean, it's so huge. Things are constantly changing in this industry. Like if you think about back 10 years ago, everybody was getting like super chunky highlights, and now everybody wants something super, super soft. If you don't know how to do that, you have to learn. And you don't want to learn on your client because, so you definitely have to go to classes. When it comes to products, there's a difference between selling products and educating your clients on your products. So get to know them, use them on each other, use them on yourself, use them on your family members, ask your clients for feedback. Hey, what did you think about that product I used in your hair? It's really important, whichever line you use, to know what you're using so you can give them the right, I call it a style equation because that's what KMS calls it, but the right equation for their hair, because it's basically a prescription to make sure that they're getting the look that they want to achieve.
What are the benefits that you took out of being a product educator and ambassador?
The benefits? Well, my number one benefit, I would love to say, I've met some amazing hairstylists and I've made some great connections, and I love this community that I've kind of formed with Goldwell of New York. and KMS, that we're like a big family, and that's huge for me. I feel like even if I stop educating, I'll be welcomed with open arms to any one of their events, and that's probably my biggest benefit to being an educator.
What are some of the laws and regulations that you would have to abide by of being in the position?
I don't know if there's so much laws. I should probably know the answer to that question, but I don't know. But definitely there's a lot of rules that come to being an educator. Professionalism is a huge thing. You know, how I interact with my clients behind the chair that know me really well versus how I teach. They're two totally different people. So that's just kind of a professionalism thing that they want me to go through. Not to mention when I'm teaching, we have to use certain like terminology. It's called the KMS way of cutting. So there's a lot of like rules and regulations on how you're teaching cutting, how you're teaching sectioning, how you're teaching sets. So that's a big thing. I don't know if there's really any laws though.
What did you find exciting about this position?
My biggest draw to it was eventually I want to travel, and I love traveling. So my whole goal in life is to become a national platform artist for KMS and travel around the United States and teach KMS. So right now I'm regional between like Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo, and eventually I'll go statewide, and then nationally, which is my ultimate goal as a hairstylist. I would love to do that. So that would be my biggest benefit.
If you could choose to do this again, would you, and why?
Absolutely, 100 times over again. I've never wanted to own my own salon. I've always wanted to educate people. I love that aha moment for somebody when something lights up in their head and they're like, oh, I get it. This is so much better, or this is easier, or oh my God, I know exactly who I'm going to use this haircut on. I love that moment, and it's such an amazing connection that you can get with other stylists and your clients. Even just doing the haircuts that KMS taught me on them it's an amazing feeling.
Well, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me to.